And when the map makers were drawing their maps, all the area that was outside of their scope of knowledge, they simply put symbols of dragons and monsters and big fish and the legend where monsters and leviathans be. In other words, this was the territory uncharted, unknown, terrifying, and, if possible, to be avoided. But one adventurous commander of a battalion found himself leading a group of rather adventurous Roman soldiers, and they found themselves in that territory beyond which the map makers had drawn. Now, he didn't want to turn around and go back, but neither did he want to pursue this course without some further instruction. So he dispatched a messenger back to Rome with the urgent request, please send new orders. We have marched off the map. I would characterize the history of World Vision as being an organization that is constantly marching off the map. Now let me illustrate what I mean by that. From my earliest experience with World Vision, we have always been seeing that there were new things to be dared, innovative things to be experienced, risky things to be explored. As one perspective on the past, which Graham had asked me to say these words about today, I would say don't ever lose the thrill of the quest. Don't ever lose the zest for adventure. Don't ever lose the pulse-quickening excitement of the chase. I love what Robert Louis Stevenson said. He said, to travel hopefully is a better thing than to arrive. Do you agree with that? I do. To travel hopefully is a better thing than to arrive. Always stay moving and travel with your heart filled with hope, journeying all the way, never settling down. I felt once I had sailed, not marched off the map, but literally sailed off the map when we were in Singapore Harbor, and a half a dozen countries threatened everything but my life if we sailed our rescue vessel Sea Sweep out onto the South China Sea to help drowning refugees. Once Christopher Columbus decided that it was worth taking the risk to go beyond where the map makers had ultimately charted, then everybody followed him. They're walking in your train and following your example today too, because we've dared to march off the map. You know who else came to the South China Sea when we proved that it could be done? France sent a ship out, Norway sent a ship out, even the United Nations, my dear friend Paul Hartling, who was head of UNHCR, sent a ship out. The Germans did. The Italian Navy sent 3 ships out. They couldn't find any refugees, but they sure looked hard. And finally, they radioed Sea Sweep and said, "Would you please? Do you have any refugees?" We said, "Yes." They said, "Would you please transfer them to our?" This is the admiral of the Italian Navy. He says, "Would you please transfer them to our vessel because we don't dare go home without some refugees." This is a true story. And we took a vote among the refugees, and they all voted no. So the Malaysians did the Italian admiral a favor. They loaded 800 refugees into the old boats that had no motors and had already beached them up on the Malaysian coast. Loaded 800 refugees on those boats and towed them out and gave them to the Italian Navy, and the admiral sailed home in triumph and victory with 800 refugees rescued off the beaches of Malaysia. They'll follow you if you go ahead and march off the map. And finally, attempt projects so big that they are bound to fail without God. Let your projects be so big that they are bound to fail without God. Bob Pierce called it God room. Call it whatever you will. But let those projects be so big that you can't possibly humanly do them yourselves. God has to do them for you. It is then to His glory and not to ours and to yours. Well, that's marching off the map. It's risky. It's dangerous. Ted Agon, who ran our C-sweep operation for a while, after that operation was over, Ted gave me a plaque from my wall, which I cherish very much. The plaque said, "A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are for. So World Vision, in its cocoon, in its insulation and isolation, if that were the path we chose, would be safe. But that's not what World Vision is for. World Vision is for risk. In his book, Ancient Evenings, which is about Egypt in the 10th century BC, Norman Mailer has one of the old pharaohs talking to his son who's about to succeed him to the throne. And the ancient monarch tells his son, he says, "Look for the risk. We must obey it every time. There is no credit to be drawn from the virtue of one's past. Look for the risk. Make it your watchword. If you seek to save your life, corporate or individual, I promise you, Jesus promises you, you will lose it. Don't play it safe. March where the map makers say the dangers are. And why do we go there? Why do we march off the map? Why do we go where dragons and monsters lurk? Is it because that's where danger is? No. Because that's where the adrenaline flows? No. Then why? Why go there at all? Go for the risk because that's where God is. He is not in the sandbagged bunker. He is not in the protected cloister. He is not in some moated castle. He is beyond the horizon, over the next mountain, farther than the eye can see. He is way off the map. And that's where He calls us to join Him. Amen.